Let us take you on an international journey. Just imagine the following situation. You have just submitted your application for an attractive internship in another EU member state. You're thinking about applying for Erasmus funding as well, which might facilitate your stay substantially. But you still have to convince the directors, the human resource managers of the company you're targeting. What can you do in order to sell yourself successfully? Listen to some of our students and an experienced interviewer sharing their insights.
It was an interview for a small startup in Córdoba in line with software development. The interview was conducted by the CEO of the company.
In my last interview in Jordan, the CEO himself conducted the interview that I did.
I did the interview with a well-prepared human resource manager.
I had 6 or 7 times job interview. It depends on the situation. In some interview, there was a people from HR department and one person from the department where I applied for. But when I applied for a small company, there was just one person.
It was an interview for internship, that a project with Android developing, and was the project manager that conducted it.
The interview was conducted by the head of the department and the person who later turned out to be my supervisor. It made sense because he was the person to check my qualities and to see whether I fit the team.
Most of the job interviews where I was the interviewer was in my capacity as an equal opportunities officer. So in this capacity, I had to make sure that minorities were well represented and that they were getting the same questions as everybody else.
I think first she started offering me water, and after she asked me about my studies in the university, how it's going. Also she asked me about the weather, because in this day was so hot, and I think that was so important because break a little bit that I was nervous, and because it was my first interview, and the first minutes of the interview is the most that you are more nervous, and was it that she did, and I think was very important.
In some interview, they gave me a kind question like, wasn't it too hard for you to come here in this hot weather? Like that. And in some interview, they offered me a beverage, and it made me very relaxed, and it created positive atmosphere, I think.
The interview was held in a cafe. I think this made the interview really friendly and comfortable for me, because it's not the normal and standard environment that usually is an office and it's really cold. Another point is that he started doing questions about how was my week, what did I do around the weekend, and I think these questions make you start feeling more like you're speaking with a friend instead of a boss or a interviewer. Yeah.
The professional atmosphere was shown in the way they greeted and welcomed me in the office, the way they presented themselves. However, the positive atmosphere was there because they were very friendly. It was a little bit informal. They didn't make it very stressful for me to do the interview.
Usually at the beginning of the interviews, we try to create nice atmosphere for everybody. So there will be simple questions like, did you arrive by car? Did you come by train? Did you find our campus easily? Things like that. So for the first 2 minutes, don't expect anything very dramatic, because usually the interviewers will just try to make you feel at ease.
I believe that the difficult question is the weakness question. What is your major weakness? Because if you answer it intelligently, you can turn it into advantage. If not, then the risk is higher in your interview. So I personally like to show a real weakness in myself, then show how I work on it in order to get over it, which shows that you're a hard worker, and this will make it into an advantage in your interview.
The most difficult questions was when she asked me about why I'm good enough for be part of the team, and also what my weakness, and if them will not disturb the team in the project.
There should be a real weakness. You should show us the bottom of the hole. Then you should say what damage could come out of that. And you should say how you're getting that under control. So how you're working on your weakness and show us the way out of this weakness.
The most difficult question was for when they asked like what I do usually in the week, what is my weekends like, what do I like apart from programming, like what are my hobbies. I think these questions sometimes you have to measure really a lot what you are going to say, because sometimes they don't look for a professional, they look also for the human part of the guy that is being interviewed.
The most surprised question was when she asked me if I would be part of the team even if I not get scholarship. In the moment I didn't know the answer, but my answer was that I was interested even if I not get, but I would like to get it because I also have my needs.
The most surprising aspect for me from the beginning that the CEO himself conducted the interview, and also the very informal atmosphere in the interview, because it turned into a real conversation, not the normal question and answer kind of interview.
The most surprising question was about my hobbies. I wasn't prepared to talk about the things that I do in my free time.
I applied for office manager in one company, and interviewer asked me that, tell me about your funny story in recent years. I was surprised because I thought it was a little bit incongruous in the job interview. But I answered about my experience to trip to China, and he liked it. So I think he wanted to see my reaction to embarrassing question.
The most surprising question was the question whether or not I was very nervous, or what especially made me nervous. My answer was then that this question made me nervous.
We need to be prepared for unusual questions. In fact, maybe this is even a strategy of the interviewers. They might want to see how you react under stress. The most astonishing question I ever heard from an interview was my brother, who was applying to work for the criminal police. And in the middle of the interview, they looked at his hands and they said, "Do you chew your fingernails?" Which wasn't true at all, but they just wanted to see how my brother would react when he is attacked by somebody.
At first, try to do a little research about the company that you are going to have the interview for. I think this helps, like for example, if you look for the products and the services they are having, like make a simple question about like why did you decide to take this approach in this product, or why did you decide to take this programming language. I think this makes the interviewer feel like, okay, you are interested in working with them, and it's not just like, okay, we'll go there and see how the things go. So
my tip would be to choose good clothes to wear. Good clothes can give you a better posture, they make your smile brighter, and they give you confidence, which you can show to the interviewer.
My tips for the students is try to make the interview like a conversation, and also ask questions for the who is conducting the interview, because it shows that you are interested in the job, and also that you are self-confident.
It was very helpful for me to think that it is just a conversation between company and me to see if we are matched well. And I think to simulate job interview with your friends is also a good way to adjust the atmosphere of job interview.
You should be yourself and just be self-confident.
My advice for students is to do a mock interview. That is, to try out the interview with somebody who you can trust. The interview questions are mostly the same. Have a look on the internet, you will find lists, and there's a very good chance that 80% of the questions you've tried out in the mock interview will be the same questions that you will be confronted with in the real interview. But that gives you a little bit of security. You are answering the questions for the second time, and that puts you at ease, and I think you can make a much better first impression.